Filling the gap in Volkswagen's SUV range between the Tiguan and the Touareg, the Tayron is a much more convincing 7-seat family crossover than its Tiguan Allspace predecessor, and brings a premium feel to the mainstream brand 7-seat crossover segment.
As we'll tell you throughout this film, Volkswagen's tried its hardest to make this Tayron very much a standalone product. But one area where this SUV couldn't be any different from its Tiguan stablemate was in terms of engineering. The drivetrains, all paired of course to DSG Auto transmission, are pretty much exactly as you'll find them in that sister model, and very similar to those in that Volkswagen Skoda Kodiaq close cousin, which means a defiant diesel offering, or if you really want to move on from that, the latest in petrol plug-in hybrid tech. Unfortunately, like its VW Group segment stablemates, the Tayron lacks the self-charging full hybrid technology that you'd find in this sector with rivals from Kia, Hyundai, Lexus, and to some extent from Peugeot too. Why the Wolfsburg conglomerate has never developed such an engine for mid-sized models in this era is difficult to understand. Your dealer might tell you that the entry-level 150 PS 48-volt mild hybrid 1.5e TSI petrol engine we're trying here offers much the same sort of thing as a proper self-charging full hybrid, but it doesn't, as an efficiency figure comparison will demonstrate. As usual with a mild hybrid, the eTSI engine works with a 48-volt belt starter generator and a 48-volt lithium-ion battery that gets charged through regenerative braking energy delivered when coasting or off-throttle. 0 to 62 miles an hour takes 9.4 seconds en route to 127 miles an hour. What this engine really needs is a bit more mid-range pulling power, which is possibly why Volkswagen has decided to ignore the current anti-black pump fuel zeitgeist and continue to offer its 2-litre TDI 150 PS diesel unit in this segment. This unit's benchmark performance figures, 62 miles an hour in 9.7 seconds en route to 129, are much like those of the eTSI, but the 360 Nm torque figure that accompanies TDI progress is nearly 50% gutsier than this petrol model can manage. Hence this engine's improvement in brake towing capacity from 1.8 to 2 tons. If you need to tug along something heavier, you'll be pointed toward the top 2-litre TSI petrol power plant, offered in 204 and 265 PS forms, and for our market, the only unit in the range that's paired with 4Motion 4-wheel drive, which explains the much higher 2,400 kilogram brake towing weight capability. In this form, the Tayron's quite a rapid thing too, the 265 PS 2-litre model, able to make 62 miles an hour in 6.1 seconds en route to 149 miles an hour. We mentioned 4-wheel drive. That's something you still can't have in a plug-in hybrid Volkswagen SUV of any kind, which is odd because partner brand Audi standardises 4-wheel drive with basically the same PHEV technology. As with the Tiguan, e-hybrid versions of this Tayron are based around the 1.5-litre petrol engine and come in 2 versions with either 204 or 272 PS. Both feature a large 19.7 kWh battery and offer respective EV range figures of either 75 or 71 miles. Enough, Volkswagen reckons, to allow most families to use a Tayron e-hybrid much like an EV. You won't get anywhere close to those EV range figures, of course, if you use all the performance on offer. The 204 PS version makes 62 miles an hour in 8.6 seconds en route to 130. For the 272 PS variant, it's 7.2 seconds and 134 miles an hour. As with the Tiguan e-hybrid, the Tayron PHEVs use a 6-speed DSG Auto gearbox, replacing the 7-speed DSG Auto used in the conventionally engined models. Unlike its Tiguan Allspace predecessor, the Tayron shares nothing visually with the Tiguan it's based on, except perhaps that old model's low-key exterior vibe. You won't choose one of these if you want to stand out, which makes it rather curious that the Wolfsburg brand has decided that this should be the first of its models to get illuminated logos at both ends. This top R-line trim gets bespoke bumpers for a sportier look. At 4,792 millimetres in length, this is quite a substantial thing, Much bigger than the old Chinese market Tayron model, and more relevantly for Europe, a full 7 centimetres longer than the Tiguan Allspace model this SUV replaces. It's 25 centimetres longer than the current Tiguan, and the only larger Volkswagen model is the Touareg, the next SUV up in the range. Time to take a look inside. Well, it's certainly different from what's served up by a Tiguan, but in truth not that much different. So if you'd been hoping for more of a Touareg vibe, you'll be disappointed. Still, Volkswagen's done its best to give the Tayron cockpit more of an upmarket feel, hence the open pore wood, or as in this case, art velours suede type trimming of plusher versions and the soft leatherette surfaces that feature on all variants. It's certainly a more premium feeling space that you're offered with other mainstream brands in this segment. And if you can stretch to a version with these superbly supportive 14-way adjustable massaging ergo-active front seats, you'll get class-leading comfort too. Volkswagen isn't one of those brands that build the centre screen seamlessly into the dashboard or presents it as part of a dual fascia top panel. Instead, it's stuck like a bit of an afterthought to your left and rather takes over if, as here, you pay the extra to upgrade the standard 12.9-inch monitor to this 15-inch Infotainment Package Plus item. That'll be one thing you'll have to get used to if you're graduating into one of these from the previous Tiguan Allspace model, and there are others. Like the Tiguan, the Tayron features an EV-style steering column stalk transmission selector. And also, like the Tiguan, you're provided with this lower multifunction driving experience control, a single lower rotary dial that allows you to alter volume, drive mode, and the pre-configured settings of the ambient lighting system. Volkswagen calls these atmospheres and gives them rather cringy names like Lounge, Joy, Energetic, Minimal, and Me. But you'll like the way you can match these to individual Spotify playlist settings to calm or liven up each journey. The 10.25-inch Digital Cockpit Pro instrument screen is the usual clearly formatted Volkswagen affair, rather than the cluttered digit fest that so many Far Eastern makers serve up, and with the right steering wheel view format selected is capable of showing full screen mapping. Okay, let's take a look at the second row. Where rear seat leg space on the sliding and reclining bench is quite generous. You'd struggle to fit in a centre-seated adult because of this prominent centre tunnel. If the centre seat is free, a centre armrest can be folded out, which offers you 2 cup holders. This extension can be swiveled left or right, and it has a joint at the front where tablets and smartphones can be locked in place. Okay, what about the third row? Volkswagen says that much of the extra wheelbase length this Tayron enjoys over its Tiguan Allspace predecessor is devoted back here, but it doesn't really feel like it. Third row space for adults is as restricted as is usual on this class of car, and anyone over school age will certainly need the cooperation of folk ahead if they're to get comfortable. Finally, let's take a look out back. Now here we've got a power tailgate that can be activated by foot control. Bear in mind that the base spec variant does without this feature. This is where you actually do get the benefit of that extra 70mm of body length. With all seating rows in place, the hatch rises to reveal a 345-litre boot. That's 115 litres more than with a Tiguan Allspace. Most of the time, of course, you're going to be travelling with these third row pews folded into the floor, in which case up to 850 litres of space is available up to window level, which is 150 litres more than with the Tiguan Allspace, but is a figure that falls significantly to 705 litres with the Tayron E-hybrid variants. You flatten the second row bench with these cargo sidewall catches, which not all brands provide in this segment. And with everything flat, there's up to 1,915 litres of space with a conventionally engined Tayron. The economy figures aren't too much different from those of a Tiguan, which means that if you opt for the base ETSI petrol 1.5 litre mild hybrid petrol variant in base life trim, you're looking at up to 46.5 mpg on the combined cycle. and up to 139 grams per kilometre of CO2. That's helped by active cylinder management, which sees 2 of the engine's 4 cylinders switch off as often as possible to conserve fuel. The base 2-litre TDI diesel does without this feature, but still manages to improve the efficiency returns to as much as 50.9 mpg and up to 145 grams per kilometre. For the top 2-litre TSI 4Motion petrol, 4-wheel drive 204 PS model, you're looking at up to 35.8 mpg and 180 grams of CO2. The same engine in 265 PS 4Motion form returns 33 mpg and 195 grams per kilometre. As we told you in our driving section, the e-hybrid PHEV models are capable of a significant level of EV range before you need to use fossil fuel. 75 miles for the 204 PS model and 71 miles for the 272 PS version. Volkswagen reckons that would allow many families to use this car as an EV, given German market research suggesting that 95% of journeys are less than 31 miles long and 99% are shorter than 62 miles. The 204 PS e-hybrid returns up to 9 grams per kilometre of CO2 and is rated at up to 696 mpg for the combined cycle. For the e-hybrid 272 PS version, the figures are 10 grams per kilometre of CO2 and 625.9 mpg. Either way, think in terms of around 560 miles between refuelling stops, a duration which would be even longer if the PHEV model didn't suffer a 10-litre reduction in the standard Tayron's already rather small 55-litre fuel tank size. A Tayron e-hybrid can be charged with up to 11 kilowatt AC and 40 kilowatt DC, the latter of which means the car can be topped up from 10 to 80% in just 26 minutes. Don't expect the Tayron to be a common sight on our roads, but there are grounds for Volkswagen to hope that it will do rather better than its quickly forgotten Tiguan Allspace predecessor. For a start, unlike that car, you don't have to have a third seating row for this model to make sense, though customers are probably going to mostly want it. If you've ever wished you could have the posh premium feel of, say, a BMW X3, an Audi Q5 or Mercedes GLC, but with the added convenience of 7 seats, the Tayron could well be your car. It's also easy to live with and practical to own. Other segment alternatives make similar claims, of course, but after trying them following a Tayron test drive, you might end up feeling that you'd be prepared to pay just a touch more for Volkswagen ownership. And we'd understand it if you did.